Welcome everyone, and thanks for tuning in. Hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell to be notified of weekly uploads. Grab your headphones, a beverage, a snack, and relax with me for a little bit while I tell you a story. A long way from home. I stare up through a clearing in the trees into a blanket of stars filling the night sky like a portal to another world. Crisp, cool air tickles my nose, sweeping by in a quick burst of wind. The smell of moss and tousled dirt fills my nostrils, and the sounds of the waking nocturnal forest my ears. A star tears through the blanketed sky, snatching me out of my dazed wonder. "Up, boy." A gristled voice pierces the silence like an arrow. I was just taking a second to actually appreciate the things around me for once. Relax, I mumbled back sarcastically. A grunt is all I receive in return from the brute. I guess now would be a good time to catch you up on a few things. My home planet Skana was destroyed in a great cataclysm 1 year ago. My parents had sent me, their only son, off-world for education and training exactly 1 year and 2 months ago. Eager to travel the galaxy, I couldn't wait to leave the ever-dull planet I had began to loathe so much. It was primarily a mining world for low-grade alloy, which became in high demand once the war broke out a decade ago. We were once desolate and fairly poor, but very rich in culture and spirit. Once the war hit our solar system, the planet was suddenly populated by greedy merchants and slavers looking to make their piece of the pie during the chaos. I couldn't stand how my people just let themselves be cast aside from their own colonies. There were systems completely collapsed by unchallenged corruption. This was another reason my parents had looked to send me elsewhere. The destination they chose was a distant planet known as Quarta, who we had just started a trading deal with, our minerals for theirs. Unlike our low-grade minerals, however, theirs were rumored to have magical properties derived from their 3 sons. This seemed quite a tall tale, but I would soon find out that there were truth in these rumors. It took 7 months in deep space to arrive here, and 7 more months until the fate of my home world was revealed to me. Today was that day, and I have been treated like it is no special day. That is one nature of my training. Rising up from the cold stone, hopping to my feet, I turn towards Humdell, who stands at the tree line, impatiently waiting my attendance. The man is a staggering 6 feet 6 inches, weighing about 280 pounds. Brute is a fair descriptive, if I'm being honest. A 30-minute window. Humdell reminds me wide-eyed. "I'm right behind you, Humdell. Let's go," I mutter solemnly. Mom and Dad could not have known what they were signing me up for when I was sent here. Mercenary work. That's what I'm being trained to do. Tonight's job is to retrieve a package being transported through the forest. Lightly guarded caravan, I'm told. Should be a piece of cake. Never are these things as simple. Over the 7 months I've been here, I haven't seen a single job that didn't turn into a shitstorm yet, and I would be foolish to assume anything else for this one. Try to keep up then. Hold on, not this shit. I didn't even finish the sentence before his flesh started to change, growing a deep black fur all over his face, bones contorting, extending outward. Humdell was a green stone wielder, or Hau Natu, as they call themselves. They have an attunement with nature that is beyond anything I could have ever imagined. The abilities vary amongst all Hau Natu. Humdell had an extraordinary connection with animals. When he was young, he said he could simply talk to animals and get them to do his bidding. As he aged, though, and learned to tap into his 4th and 5th stones, he found himself being able to shapeshift into animals that he had had physical contact with. One of those animals being a shade claw, a feline covered in Vanta black fur with a tone-hard body 12 feet in length, including the tail. 3-inch claws to rip flesh or grip any surface with uncanny dexterity. The transformation almost instant as he disappears within the forest, only brush rustling and twigs breaking in his wake. You would, damn it. The wind carrying away the sound as I take stride in pursuit of my near invisible ally. Though we may not have magic rocks that give us seemingly godlike abilities, my own people are not without their own gifts. Our mines are located up on hilltops and the tops of mountains, excavated with precision and cunning. Our primary off-world combat employment often involves sneaking, climbing, retrieving, and/or assassinating. My people's long limbs and slender builds give us the ability to generate great velocity in our stride and leverage in our movements. Most of all, off-worlders give us the name Acumen for our ability to understand and reason any situation. This also works when fighting. I hadn't known it to be special to see spectral visions of my opponent's movements before they made them. This proves invaluable when facing new opponents to understand their intention, as well as tracking hard to see allies like my dear friend Humdell. He likes keeping me present in mind and invariably makes me use my sixth sense to keep up with the plan, as he tells me very little. Over, under, leaping off the base of one tree, cascading up back and forth until he reaches an opening at the peak with me swiftly following suit.
There, across the clearing.
Not even noticing his change back, I follow his gesture to the direction noted. This is the definition of exposed. I simply had to state the obvious at this point. 400 meters of open plain, not ideal setup for an ambush, a shitstorm just waiting to happen.
No time to go around. We must make haste. 3 companies are expected, 2 of them armed. Our intel made us aware of 2 stone wielders and their guard. 1 Mechna, a silver stone wielder, the other unknown. We should be prepared for anything,
Humdell says, giving me a long overdue report. Silver? Should be easy enough, I say with confidence. In my short experience here, silver stone wielders have been nothing more than chauffeurs, offering transportation from one place to the other. Not much more.
To underestimate your opponent is to give them an advantage before the encounter begins. Humble yourself,
Humdell replies, stoic as always. I nod, not averting my gaze from the open plains ahead. If there is one thing I can rely on Humdell for, it's his no-nonsense attitude. If he is taking the time to say it, then the words are worth heeding. The plan? His short abruptness growing on me.
Before civilization had arisen, my ancestors ran down their food on plains such as these,
Humdell replies, glancing over at me with a rare smile across his face.
Let us see if progression is inherent.
Spoken as he leaps into the air, shifting into a razbeak, the great bird of prey. Without hesitation, I flip off the branch backwards, grabbing another 20 feet down, using my momentum to propel myself forward, hitting the ground with a roll, raising in full stride, breaking the tree line. Ahead of me, Humdell shifts back in moments as he also hits the ground with a roll, popping up at full speed. I do love a good race, I thought to myself, a smile ascending on my face. The plains grass is like a million whiskers grabbing at your clothes, clefts of it being tossed up in our wake. Faster. I lean forward, pressing harder into the ground with every step, vaulting myself forward with ever-growing force. Visions of Humdell's movements are the clearest thing I see within my blurred speed. He is allowing me to see. My sixth sense works off intention. If my ally intends for me to know their movements, I will. If an opponent intends to strike me, I will see their movement. The limits of this I have not been able to explore, as I had no teacher. Until I met him, that is. Whether my parents meant for me to train under mercenaries is irrelevant, honestly. I have learned more from Humdell than I could have ever asked for. He has become like a second father to me, a flash of light enveloping my vision, followed by a head-sized rock which I evade just in time.
Daydreaming again. Stay present.
Right, not losing a beat as we press forward. 100 meters to go. A distant light catches my peripheral vision. The caravan, I'm sure, still about 500 meters away. Whether we will be seen or not will be determined shortly. Moving like the wind, we close out the remaining distance, coming at rest within a ditch close to the road.
Head down. Close your eyes. How many?
Humdell has taught me that developing any of your senses takes practice and determination. Over these months, my hearing, sight, smell, touch, and even taste have improved tenfold. The dull grumble of wheels turning on uneven dirt. The soft thud of feet marching along the ground. How many? The sounds compiled into a white noise. I strain. Don't lose it. Breathe.
Relax.
A hand encases my shoulder.
Take a deep breath. Place your hand on the ground.
I do as instructed.
Focus and single out the noise. Feel the vibration. How many?
There. My mind's eye following the vibration back to its source like a bird following the wind. A mental image appears. I have it. 15 footmen marching along between two caravans. Only two heavily armed, the back caravan holding most of the weight between the two. The first likely a distraction, I relay to Humdell.
Or security,
he chirps back.
I am sensing the same. I believe you are correct. We treat both transports like they hold valuables, and every soldier like a stone wielder. Hit hard, hit fast, and hit with a purpose.
Understood, I reply.
You will see my movement. Wait for my mark.
I nod as we both ready ourselves, head down, senses attuned as the companies close in on our position. I try to decipher as much as I can from my opponents before we engage. No chatter. Marching only slightly off between 15 soldiers. They are disciplined, I state quietly.
As I would expect, this package is incredibly valuable. I vouch for you on this assignment. They wanted another veteran, but you are ready.
Looking me dead in the eyes as he gives me this invaluable information. Are you kidding me? You don't think it's important to tell me we are on the most dangerous mission yet? The only mission in 7 months that the organization has wanted to unpair me with you? Not realizing the gravity of our situation until now, this is one trait of Humdell's I could do without.
It changes nothing. I would not have you in your nerves before such an engagement. Now quiet and ready yourself.
Creeping low as to become one with the grass as he finishes his sentence. He's right, I need to stay present. This has been the purpose of everything in my life until now. It is for this moment and nothing more. It must be, or this moment might be my last. Reaching back, feeling my belt as to ensure I am truly fully prepared. Good. Hands crossing my torso, resting on ebony blades, sheathed under my shoulders. Unconventional, but good for engaging from a low vantage point. Eyes closed, focused and ready as the sounds get closer and closer. 9 soldiers in the front, both heavies among them, 6 in the back. The first caravan probably is security, the stone wielders wanting transport for themselves. I will have to make quick work of the back group so I can aid Humdell before he is overwhelmed. The time is now. Flash of white from my left, and I spring to action like a cat in pursuit of my prey. The sounds of snarling and screams drowned out as I close in on the 6, finally realizing my presence. The first turning towards me as I lunge across his torso, following the attack upwards, climbing and springing off his shoulder towards the back of the broken formation. Controlled breathing, visions of light seemingly compelling my opponents to follow. A thrusting lance I redirect downward, spiking into the ground. Stomping, the weapon is forced from his hands as I plant my other foot in his chest and send him uprooted into 3 of his comrades. A beam of light impaling my head warns me of my incoming death. Changing levels, I meet the force with my own, plunging my blade so deep I punch the bastard's spine. The remaining 4 finally done collecting themselves, I turn, bloody blade bouncing up and down.
I will skin you alive for that, you low-life piece of...
The sound of my handleguard hitting his forehead, interrupting the fallacy coming from his mouth. The others stare for just a moment in shock, long enough for me to close the distance and retrieve my blade before the fool even begins to fall. Spinning to the right, leg extended, knocking the following soldier off balance. Raising my tool of death through the bottom of his jaw, turning the blade sideways, still embedded, as to not overcompensate in my adrenalized state, and spinning, once again avoiding the deadly visions. Lunging forward, my hilt finds its home on the bridge of the nose, breaking with the utmost ease, flipping the blade, now descending into the exposed throat. A mist of blood fills the air, a flurry of lights encroaching upon me. Left, right, mislead, redirect. The sound of the spinal column detaching from the head, the finale to this dance with death. Exhaling and opening my wondering eyes and curious ears. Nothing. I am surrounded by mute and darkness. What is this? Blinding streak of light pierces my torso. I roll to the side, evading the intentional skewer. The darkness bursts like a bubble. A pile of bodies, bathed in a crimson sheen, surrounding me once again. The number of screams from the front has lessened. Humdell, however, roars fiercer than I have ever heard. Blocking the way ahead of me, a young man, no older than myself, long braided hair dancing to the beat of the wind. A silver glimmering stone nestled into the back of each hand. All wielders I have encountered so far have had stones along their spine, Humdell included. I didn't assume this to be the case across the board, but now I am sure of it. I should assume there are more out of sight. This is the Mechna. Am I going mad? What was the darkness you cast upon me? I asked, truly curious.
Weakness breeds madness in my experience,
he answers back, narrowing my gaze and sharpening my stance, letting him know I will ask no further questions. His hand outstretched, a slight hum ringing from the ground. Erupting from the dirt, a shiny spear of pure metal summons to his hand, grasping as he spins, finding rest with a wide stance. Right arm behind his back holding the weapon, left reaching out towards me. This is a defensive stance, I think to myself. He wants to see what I am capable of. I call. I say out loud, the sound not leaving my lips before I take stride. I do not look my opponents in the eye when engaging. The eyes deceive. Shoulders and hips are the path to truth when in melee combat. My gaze does not advert. 3 strides and I have entered his striking distance. I toss my right blade into the air, sliding onto the ground, evading the spear's thrust. Slightly raising my left leg, planting it on his inner left thigh, wrapping my other leg through, tripping him down, and twisting his leg until I hear a snap. He screams in pain, retreating backwards, unwinding myself from his mangled leg and catching the thrown blade before his first wail ends. I feel untouchable, the actions coming without thoughts, movements like water flowing from place to place. Am I making you weaken the knees? I ask, tilting my head with a slight smirk on my face, narrowing one eye and pointing down at him with the tip of my blade. His hand still reaching towards me, his weapon now becoming his walking stick as he attempts to rise to his feet. You can hold your hand out all day like that. I'm not going to help. My head, arms, and legs thrown backwards like I was just strapped to the front of a ship leaving orbit. My body shoots through the air like a bullet, back slamming into the nearby transport, denting the sides as I fall to my hands and knees. Spitting out a mouthful of blood on the ground, my hands now splattered in crimson liquid. What the hell? I say out loud, still trying to figure out what planet I'm on as the sound of clanging metal rings in my ears. Raising my head in correspondence with the sound, I lay eyes on a 3-meter metal monstrosity, thick club-like legs with a dense torso, small round head with no features, and 2 oversized thick metal arms. A metal golem, I think to myself, coming to an obvious conclusion rather quickly. It seems this Mechna is in a league above the rest. I cannot take another hit like that. I will probably never walk again, even if I live.
Humble yourself.
Humdell's voice echoing in my head, forcing me to chuckle until I am reminded that I probably have several broken ribs. Damn it, Humdell. When you're right, you're right. I say to myself as I exhale and rise to my feet, the golem 12 paces away. I take the Mechna out, the golem falls, reminding myself that I do have a plan as my heartbeat quickens and the golem raises both hands, now 8 paces away. Lowering my stance, I even my weight and ready myself. Deep breath in, long exhale out, 4 paces away. My eyes close, feet are light, body relaxed, hands resting, blades now return to their sheath. Change in air pressure. I open my eyes and spring backward against the side of the caravan as the hulking arms crush into the ground where I stood a mere second ago. Without losing the force for my rebound, I leap forward with a flip, landing on the golem's huge fist as they raise back up into the air, the momentum helping my subsequent lunge towards the wielder, hand still outstretched. A beam of light passes through my shoulder, causing me to spin and avoid the following spear's deadly puncture. My control is lost in the air, hitting the ground, rolling and coming to a rest on my back. That could have been much worse. I reassure myself, not wasting a second to hop to my feet and attempt to finish this. My blade drawn and thrown in one fluid motion, the sounds of metal clanging at my back. He rolls out of the way as I take stride forward, second blade unsheathed. Now! I leap forward as he comes to a stop in his roll, the hand now parallel with the ground. A slight hum emits from the ground right under me, still soaring forward midair. He's calling another weapon. Him showing me this technique in the beginning of the fight will result in his downfall. Blade in my right hand, I spin to the left, landing my blow through his rib cage, twisting as I flip and roll to absorb the landing. The ground now puddled in red as the golem once again becomes lifeless ore and the mechna slumps over to the ground. Adrenaline not subsiding as my attention switches to the front of the convoy. Humdel. The sounds now void. I take a deep breath, forcing my heart to stay in my chest, making up the distance in 4 elongated strides. A large black dome lays in front of me, energy draining the area of light, gravity intensifying with every small step forward. Approaching the cusp of the dome, my long brown hair and clothes pull towards the wall of darkness. Without prompt, I am expelled backwards, barely catching my feet to the ground as to not land on my back once again. An intense roar fades into existence as the darkness shatters into oblivion. Humdel standing tall with inverted joints on his legs, Fanta black fur covering his body. The structure of a humanoid with the features of a shadeclaw, 5 emerald stones shining brightly on his back. A wereclaw. I have not seen this type of transformation from him before. He must have found a way to fully tap into his 5th stone. He's extraordinary. I blurt out, not even noticing I had said the words. Catching our opponent's attention, he turns his head towards me.
Extraordinary? Who's the cheerleader?
He says, turning back towards my mentor. Humdel does not answer. He's breathing heavily. Is he losing? The thought, almost inconceivable to me with the feats I have seen from this man. He needs my help. Readying my stance to engage alongside my ally, he sprints forward, dropping to all 4s. No vision. The fact catching me off guard as I follow with a delayed response. Is he intending for me not to see? The confusion clouding my mind. It does not matter. Nothing matters but the present. I must focus. The pressure of the wind created from Humdel's lunge forward, compelling me to halt my assault. Gripping into the ground, I increase my speed. Humdel lands with a lacerating swipe of his claws, meeting only a cloud of mist, another instantly appearing in the air above his position. I warn, leaping into the air myself to intercept the incoming attack. Ready to impale the back of our foe as he materializes from the mist, I ascend. The shadows dissipate, revealing a deflecting hand coming towards me. He anticipated my rash movement, my arm leaving its alignment, blade passing his head by mere inches. A quaint smile endearing a slim, pale face, pierced lips with several obsidian rings around his neck. Short black hair shines in the moonlight and fierce red eyes meet mine as the deflecting hand follows my arm to the torso, delivering a puncturing punch to my liver. Left tumbling towards the ground in agony as he melts into a shadowy mist once again. Caught by Humdel midair, we land on the ground with such weight the ground surrenders under us.
On your feet,
Humdel says, in startling similarity to his normal voice. Spitting out a mouthful of blood as he places me on the ground, I reply, "This is one tough bastard, huh?"
a Demos, Black Stone Wielder.
Because they hurt Demos? I snap back before he could finish his sentence, knowing this situation will not improve anytime soon. Humdel's sharp eyes move to meet mine, wicked teeth gloating from his mouth.
We might as well die with a smile on our faces,
he replies in most unusual fashion.
They are the most powerful of all wielders. Those not hidden are taken as children as dictated by the council, or abducted by the cult of dark death, Atorum. This one, no doubt by the council. He can manipulate a gravity well into a small area. From what I can tell, every sense is almost numbed.
I have experienced this as well.
His teleportation seems to be limited to 3 meters, orientation changed at his demand. I am sure this is not the extent of his abilities. We are being played with, he tells me, looking back down, meeting my gaze with the stoic expression I am so familiar with. I nod in acknowledgement. Are you two finished?
The voice surrounding us.
Very observant, my feline friend.
My eyes searching frantically for our assailant, the sound of footsteps echoing, behind, left, front, a mist enveloping my vision as the face manifests, looking eye to eye for only a moment, then gone once again. A warm sting pulsating from my abdomen. My breath quickens, my hand raising. Cold, firm steel, showered in warmth. A dagger.
You are wrong about one thing, though.
The voice echoing as my vision blurs, falling into Humdel's arms, unable to speak as I see a hazy mass materialize behind my mentor and friend.
I wasn't taken by the council.
Humdel gasps as the sword impales him, eyes glossing over. I hit the ground with a deep thud along the accompanying man-beast. Everything is going dark. It's so cold. Thank you everyone so much for listening. Hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell to be notified of weekly uploads. We really hope you enjoy this journey you take with us. For those of you that made it this far, I appreciate you. And if you wouldn't mind, leave a comment down below letting me know your favorite part of the story, or maybe some things that made you really feel immersed in the story. Any feedback is greatly appreciated.